I'm in the middle of adjusting some of my lesson plans for my 8th grader's science this year. She wanted to do Nature's Beautiful Order from Memoria Press, and it's definitely very philosophical, which I knew going into it, but she needs more support with it than I'm able to give this year due to some other things that we're navigating right now. So I'm making some adjustments. I want her to be able to continue with this course, but I need it to work with the time that I have available. So a couple of things that we've done. These are not Memoria's lesson plans for this. I went through and made our own because I knew she was going to need different pacing. And originally I had planned that we would go over basically the reading notes, and background information, things like that on one day, read the chapter the next. Each chapter is like 10 pages. And then each chapter has on average about 17 questions, and some of them are pretty deep. So I split those up into 3 days. And what we're really practicing this year with her is as we read the chapter, she has these questions open. And so as we come to the answers to a question, she is learning to mark her book and highlight where the answers are. And this has been really good because it's helping her to highlight the most important points. Sometimes she needs to highlight full sentences. Other times she can just highlight the intro for the topic and then highlight just basically the bullet points of it. So lots of really good note-taking skills are being worked on in this course besides her just loving the topic. So we're getting those questions answered really as we read through that note-taking. And right now, she's really good at answering questions well. So I feel our time is best served with this particular course in just keeping up practicing that highlighting and note-taking. And I think we can get rid of her writing out those answers over the next 3 days. At that point, it's a good skill, but she is using that skill in other subjects as well. So I feel like this is one place where we can kind of streamline a bit. So another thing so that's why up here looks different than down here, but I'm also getting ready to edit down here, and I already took out all of the questions that I originally had planned. One other thing that we've done is because the reading is very philosophical, it's pulling from the naturalists from the, I believe it's 1700s, 1800s. I wanted to kind of give a little bit of a visual component. So for example, as we were getting ready to talk about the cuttlefish, I found a video on YouTube. It was a 15-20 minute video that really explained the cuttlefish. You got to see it in its habitat, and that really helped when we then went in to read the chapter where you have a lot of that written description. It was easier to understand what they were talking about. So I have that in here for each lesson, each chapter. We go over the reading notes, which sometimes are quite extensive, and there's a lot of medical scientific terms in there, which she absolutely loves. She wants to be a veterinarian, so this is right up her alley. But we go through those, and then we watch a related video, and then the following day is when we do the actual reading. And then there's these paragraphs. So I was not going to do quizzes or tests in this course. Like I said, this course is very philosophical, and for this particular child, I knew that those quizzes and tests were going to be over just too much. And since this is kind of an elective course for her, and she's only in 8th grade, I felt comfortable working on the knowledge in the daily work and not worrying about the quizzes and tests. One thing I did want to do though is on those quizzes and tests, they have these small essays. So basically a few sentences to a paragraph. And in the in the context of a quiz or test, these would be really challenging for an 8th grader to do, in my opinion. There's some heady topics, and there's just so much information in these chapters and in these questions. But I really felt that, again, they were really good skill builders if they were done outside of that context of a quiz or test. And so for this particular child, she's done 3 levels of classical composition. And we weren't able to continue because I needed something I needed to outsource, and that outsourcing for it just wasn't available this year. So we're working on composition in the course of our other subjects. And I felt like these paragraphs, topics from the quizzes and tests I pulled, and we're going to actually work on these together as her composition. But again, going back to part of the reason I'm trying to streamline this particular course is because of I have several children who need major support from me in a couple of different areas. So what I'm decided to do, and part of the reason I was like, oh, I should do a video on this, is because you can kind of follow my thought process here, because a lot of people wonder, how do I adjust lesson plans? How do I streamline? How do I make it my own? How do I preserve and prioritize? And so that's kind of why I wanted to go through this, so you can kind of see the thought process that goes into it and how I make these decisions. So I've got it down to what I feel is essential for this course and for the skills we want to build for her, while also making it more doable given some of our limitations. The one problem that remains is that she really does, because of the nature of this course, no pun intended, she really does need me for every, there really isn't any independent work here. And I know that I cannot do 3 days a week on this particular course because I have a lot of people who need me support for various things. But I don't want to lose this paragraph. I really feel like that's going to be an important skill, especially in prep for next year when she's a freshman in high school. I think it's going to just really help build her confidence for that. So what I'm thinking about doing, Nature's Beautiful Order is meant to be a 1-semester course. Typically, we're kind of stretching it out already, and because this is her science for the year. So what I'm thinking about doing is actually doing this class twice a week. I can do a Monday or a Wednesday or a Tuesday and a Friday. However it falls during the week is fine. We kind of have to figure that out as we go some weeks, just the nature of life around here. But if we do this course twice a week, I think that'll be good. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move these paragraphs down to their own week. So I'll have to update my week numbers over here. So we'll do, the prep and the reading for chapter 5, which is about the honeybee. And then the following week, we will sit down and we'll take 15-20 minutes and talk about this paragraph. What would we put in it? We'll work through how to do a compare and contrast, which she knows the basics of from literature. Last year we did some of this, and just really kind of plot it out. And then I will likely assign it the final as, give me 3 sentences, and we'll just slowly build up from there. So I'm actually going to mark the same thing as, so paragraph, compare and contrast, and I'm just going to put down write out. Write out your paragraph. Okay, and so 1 week we'll do the chapter, the next week we'll be focusing on the composition side of it. And I think we're just going to alternate all the way down so that we hit these paragraph topics. And some of them are pretty difficult because the information that you need in order to answer this question, you're pulling it's not a one-to-one. Like, you have to really synthesize in your mind what you've read in these chapters in order to be able to answer these questions. And that's another reason I really, really want to keep this actual assignment in here, because I just really feel like this would be some great skill building for her, and it's going to be really good prep for next year. So that's what we're doing here. And because the course only has 18 chapters, I have that flexibility to do this kind of alternating and still, be fine for the year. I may cut one or two because I definitely don't want to go past the end of May. So I'll have to compare this to the calendar and see where we go. But I'll have some flexibility, and I think it'll be good. So I hope that was helpful. Excuse the rambling. I've decided to try to get back into posting videos. I'm actually not going to be editing them anymore. I mean, maybe if something major comes up, I'll edit a clip here or there, but for the most part, I'm just going to kind of do these off the cuff. And, sometimes it may be screenshots like this, as I'm working on stuff, just to kind of help newer moms just kind of see the thought process that goes into stuff like this. Other times, I'll have my face on camera like I used to, and just kind of take it from there. But hopefully the unedited is okay. Please forgive all of the ums. I'm just cursed with the ums. I just always say that, so it's just kind of what it is at this point. But I hope this was helpful, and I hope everyone is having a great week. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Take care.